What's up?
What's up? How you
Well,
doing?
good, good. Welcome to our podcast, everyone, Non-Perishable Goods. Um, you know, Today we're going to talk about over tourism and the things that are going on all around the world.
There's a
Like,
lot going on.
what'd you say?
There's a lot going on.
I know. It's like before the pandemic, I really wanted to travel. I wanted to go here, go there, go all these different places. And then the pandemic hit and everything kind of just slowed down everywhere. And I didn't, I wasn't one of those people who got the cheap flights and, got the cheap hotels and we're still traveling with all the, disease going around or whatever. But I don't know. Like now, seeing how, the industry has come roaring back with tourism, I can't get it together to where I want to go to some of these places because, my own personal reasons we may get into in the show, but also the world isn't very welcoming right now. A lot of countries aren't very, inviting to others, like the local people that live in these communities. Of course, the tourism industry wants people to come visit, but the local natives, they're not having it.
Well, I think a lot of it has to stem with what we're dealing with on a political climate, our money climate, the fiscal part of it. Um, I think kind of the way we handled COVID worldwide, and us being the epicenter of it, and it was global, right? But we're the epicenter. We are supposed to be the leaders in a lot of innovative type things or safety and leisure and wealth and all these other, things that we've talked about in the past and past shows. I think what you're seeing is you're just seeing people just not really, in my words, fucking with us. And they just want us to stay where we're at and stop. Don't bring the bad juju. Does it make that kind of make sense? Like
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
bring your problems to our country. Don't bring your problems to my day to day. I don't want to have to
yeah.
deal with your shit, that kind of stuff. And I think in travel, in a lot of ways, I travel a lot, for baseball and just outside pleasures, obviously, as far as like my vacations and things like that. And I enjoy traveling. I've been to other countries. I've been out of the country a lot, for baseball and for leisure. Some places are extremely friendly, some places aren't, like
What
um,
what places have you noticed were more friendly or less friendly, or is there like a method to it
I
or
think there is. I think that there's places like the Dominican and Puerto Rico and Hawaii, right? I'll say those three because those are three of my like favorite places to go to, right? Like those will be go-tos for me for R&R and for baseball, right? And um the Hawaiian culture, if you understand it, it is very family oriented. It's very giving. They're loving. They're very kind and charismatic. I know that people that are not of my shade tone don't necessarily have the same maybe thoughts about that because they do treat whites and different other nationalities a little different. But my son being over there for the last 3 years, my travels over to Hawaii, those islands, Puerto Rico, the Dominican, I look like them. So it is a little bit more inviting. I may not be able to speak full Spanish, but like my son, we've been to Puerto Rico multiple times and
they probably
um
think you're
they
Puerto
think,
Rican or Dominican.
well, they think I'm from the Dominican,
Yeah.
a black man that married a Puerto Rican and had, a biracial kid like that. But they speak Spanish directly to my son, my youngest son, especially because he's darker, but he's also light complected like a Puerto Rican would be. So I think that it's just a level of comfortability on both sides. Like a lot of times, and I wanted to preface this early on, which I'm glad we're able to. Like I see a lot of people who have a lot of problems with their flights, baggage, missing flights, like when you arrive late, like I'm like, okay, like there is a way to travel. And I'm pretty reticent on that. Like I'm usually 2.5 hours early to the airport, even if it's a domestic in-state flight. I'm still two and
Yeah.
a half hours early just because I don't want to be late. And if it's bump, it very
Last
rarely will.
minute things, yeah.
But I would rather err on the side of I got to stay in this airport for 5 to 6 hours on a delay than to show up 45 minutes, which it's happened before. We're missing connectors and things like that. But like just a lot of people struggle with time management. It's actually funny that, travel is such a direct reflection of how you time manage your day to day. And
Mhm.
I see people that don't manage their times well, at least just in my friend group, right? That
Yeah.
happens issues all the time when they're at airports or they're traveling. But when you go to certain places, I think if you just try to fit in and you're not trying to make a scene and things like that, and you're cordial and you're polite with how you're introducing yourself or when you're asking a question, you're going to get a little bit of better reception, right? Like
Yeah.
kill it with honey, right? And sugar, not spice and alcohol. Like, you don't be rude. I think that that's like a big
Yeah.
thing.
And
Like, and there's different customs that a lot of these people don't know that they should probably verse themselves on when they go to another country.
yeah.
What is acceptable? Some countries are hugs and kisses on the cheek. Some are bow and, no eye contact. Just understanding the no the normal neutral nuances of what
Yeah,
they're.
their customs.
Yeah.
And
And
like to the dress code and just the culture, the
we
religion,
as a
the
people are
faith.
so arrogant, right? And I think that that's what's the turnoff for a lot of other countries is the arrogance of the generality of an American tourist
Yeah.
is there's a level of arrogance that a lot of people don't realize they're carrying within their aura or how they're presenting themselves. And so it goes down to simple, basic Christian principles is of showing humility, right? Showing humility, grace, patience, time, love, and most of all, just the grace part. Like I'm not thinking you're being rude. That just might be your custom. Like even going to Georgia, a couple of weeks ago, it's like things are slower over there, right? So like I have to get out of the mentality of go, go, go here in California, which everything is go, 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 go. Everything happens really fast. And over there, it's like they could be five people in line and it might take you 25, 30 minutes to get out of that damn line because
Oof.
the cashier is asking, every single Tom, Dick, and
Talking to
Harry
them. Yeah.
question like their neighbors or family, and you have to just understand where you're at.
Yeah.
And
You have
I think
when
a
in
lot,
Rome, like
I
when
just
in
think a
Rome,
lot of
do as the
people,
Romans do.
yeah, I just think a lot of people struggle with that aspect, right? And it is what it is, but like at the end of the day, like can we be better for it, right? Can we learn from just normal interactions? I think being immersed in our cell phones so much with having our heads down and not necessarily having really good fundamental, core communication skills affects people's times in other countries or other places.
Yeah, like we're entitled. And I did notice in the different things I was reading is that like, it's not just Americans, it's just people who don't know the customs and cultures of the place that you're visiting, you
And
know?
that's a bad thing. I mean, that should be the first thing that you do, right? Like,
But people don't think about that. We know this already. We know that people don't think, and they have to. Or
yeah,
you go to Dubai and you're drinking, or if you're exposed and you're not modest as a woman and covered like their women are, like you might get arrested.
you might. I mean, there's a lot of people who have a lot of problems in Dubai, Italy, the UK. They struggle with certain customs and nuances. And again, like if you want to travel, then be respectful of where you're traveling, right? And be respectful of the country you're going to participate in whatever they're doing or customs that
Yeah.
you may want to be involved with. Like there like I mean, we can get into it later, but like there's like some top things that I would like to do. Like I want to go to Brazil because I want to see Carnival, right? Like so I want to see that. I think like for me, like Mexico's not like at the top of my list, of tourist attractions. I know a lot of people who love Cabo and Punta Cana and Tulum and all these other
Well, because
places.
it's cheap. It's a cheap
It is
destination and it's close. So a lot of people go there.
Hmm. I get it. I haven't been drawn to that part. Like for me, like I want to go to places for me just personally where um if I want R&R, then it's Hawaii, it's island type, Virgin Islands, things like that. Think places that you kind of see more of you at. Does that make sense? And it's not just
Yeah.
a hodgepodge or a melting pot of people. I get to see kind of like my people there sometimes, or just people that I will resonate with. Like I really resonate with Polynesian and Filipino and Hawaiian culture. Like I've always been very immersed in the study. Obviously, my minor was in Japanese studies, like
Oh,
cultural studies.
really? Nice.
And so like there's little things that draw me into their world. So I respect those customs and those things because I've studied them, right? So again, travel is about experiencing something you're not experiencing on a day-to-day basis, whether that's the ocean, the Alps, the mountains, fashion week, whatever it may be that you're choosing to do, like just make sure when you're doing it that you're doing it in a respectful manner,
Yeah,
right?
because
And
that's the thing. A lot of these local places don't want people to come because they're acting entitled and they're taking their phones and their cameras and going on their like private property and taking beautiful pictures of the sunset for Instagram, but they're trampling over the environment and they're ruining the lands.
and we can say that about social media in its own right. It has taken a false sense of reality and it has multiplied it by 1,000, right? Like by 100 billion or whatever you want to quantify that number to be. It's scary because it's like there's times where I'll give you an example. Here's a great example. Like Nipsey had a concert in Sacramento well before his death, right? It was when Crenshaw, the mixtape came out, and it was at Ace of Spades. A lot of people knew who Nipsey Hussle was.
Hmm.
The people that were there were very underground. It was a mixture. It was like a very underground hip hop type style group that, Sacramento's collective of these people, right? And I sometimes feel like, yeah, I'm a part of that because I go to a lot of shows with people that a lot of people don't know, like Wiz Khalifa before he was known, and the hieroglyphics and all of those years at Bojangles and these different smaller venues,
I
right?
haven't heard of Bojangles in so long.
Doesn't it bring it back, right?
Yes.
But we saw like alcoholics, we saw really good like LA based Pac Div, Casey Veggies, for me, Dom Kennedy and all these other rappers that we've talked about, when we were talking about Childish Gambino and Vince Staples. Um, it was a very eclectic crowd. Like you didn't really have like younger kids there at that venue at that day. Like at the Wiz Khalifa show, there was a lot of kids that were like 18 and under at the Crest or the Colonial was where I saw him.
Hmm.
But at this, it was like I saw a bunch of retired Crips, in Sacramento, and then you had like me and Charles and the people that we were all with, like kind of we just love music and hip hop, and then you had your very novice hip hop people who just are embodied in whoever it is that's coming to town.
Hmm.
And in that room or arena, that's kind of like traveling, right? It's like you have certain set people that are there, stereotypically, right? And you have to learn how to manage yourself between the three or four groups that are representing in that building at that one time. So you're not going to pop off to this particular group. You got to be a little bit more cordial or a little bit more like inviting if somebody steps on your sneaker or something, right? And it's all an example of when I go to another country. Like I can't be mad at somebody speaking Spanish at a Burger King in Puerto Rico because that's their native tongue.
Yeah, like how the audacity, how could you even be mad about that?
Exactly. But there are people that get upset about that. And it's like, do you not realize you're the one who bought the ticket, you bought the flight, understand that you have to follow their customs, their rules, their regulations.
Well,
And you have
yeah,
the jurisdictions that we have in the United States over to the UK because they could give two fucks about what our laws are. It's their laws.
right, yeah.
Their
But we're very ethnocentric. Americans have been raised thinking that we're better than or our way is the right way.
for
And
sure.
you know what I mean? Like we
I
feel
agree with
like,
that 100%.
yeah, like we put our culture we feel that the way we live is how everyone should live. But when people travel outside of the country, they're finding that other places are way more conservative. Other places are very, they're not doing what we're doing. They're not twerking at restaurants.
or bars or clubs. I mean, and there's just, I think what a lot of young kids need to experience, and I think this goes into the centric part of family, right? Like I was lucky enough to have a parent or a set of parents, my dad and my stepmother, who embarked on travel and they believed in that 2 week time, whether it was a week with family in Colorado and then a week on actual vacation, either in Arizona or outside of the country. So we've experienced those things as a family. Like I've been blessed enough to travel the world and especially the country with my sport. So I've been more present than a lot of others in a very positive way, not saying that I'm better than anybody. I've been able to experience different things and more in a sense of I have to live here for 8 months and then I go back home, or I have to be here for 7 months and then I got to go back home. I'm here for 3 weeks at a time, especially in Arizona. Like I have to act a specific way when I'm in Arizona because people don't know. One, it's a carry conceal state, so like
Okay.
pop off because somebody's gonna pull out,
Yeah.
so you got to be very mindful. And I'll never forget this. It was like 2 years ago. We were there. We're at a mall. Guy pulls up in a new Genesis SUV, and it was dope, right? And so we're parked next to him in our fucking 12 passenger seat vans, right? We get out of the vans. I'm like, that's a dope ass ride. Can I check it out? And he's like, yeah. He's showing me all this, and then he shows me his glove box or like center console compartment. He's got a whole false bottom on it. He's got two pistols in it. I'm like, damn, dude, like, and it was kind of shocking because you're not going to see that in California. And if you do, it's usually in a truck, right? Like you're thinking stereotypically this is going to be in a truck, but this guy's packing because something could potentially pop off, and he has every right to do it. So it's like you
But
do
is
act.
Arizona that dangerous? I mean, maybe Phoenix, but
Can be, but that's where I'm at all the time is in Phoenix and that
um,
Maricopa, Mesa, those types of areas. I'm in those areas all the time. So if I choose to go out and experience nightlife or go out to just have a drink at a lounge, like I do have to be very mindful about that. This isn't my city.
mm-mm.
This isn't my territory. This isn't my community. These aren't the people that I know. I don't know the DJ. I don't know the door guy like I do at some of the places here in Sacramento. So
Yeah.
like I have to act accordingly. And so I can't pop off. I can't be in a bad mood. If I'm in a bad mood, I'm just gonna stay in the hotel, right? Or at the Airbnb that we're at.
Because
So
people
like
are already automatically going to be on you because you have a different swagger about yourself, especially being from California. Like we stand out like, phew.
we stick out like sore thumbs.
Yeah.
And just kind of more as I've gotten older, obviously my fashion and the things of that nature are a little bit more on the conservative side now of what I wear and how I, you know, present myself. But I do present myself very clean cut, always trying to smell good, always in the latest kick, and whatever I'm wearing, it's up to date, it's up to par, but it is different than it is over there. It's crazy because I'm gonna go over there Thursday night, right? I'll be there for 2 straight weeks in Arizona in the heat, but like I know that what I wear to a lounge or what I wear out is completely different than what the majority masses over there do. And
So what would you say? Is it like more slow or like behind
yeah,
in
they're
time?
like, hey, there's so many people that will agree with me on this that hopefully watch this. If you go to other states, just in the United States, there's a lot of states that are like 10 years behind of what we already are on,
Yeah.
right? Like, so I see, like, I don't rock Jordans to the club or to a lounge anymore. Like, I usually will wear a very kind of dossier type Nike, some sort of waffle, some
Casual.
well,
Yeah.
it's not even a casual, but it's a very expensive shoe. You
Mhm.
know, it's a shoe that you could sell on the market for a lot of money because it's supposed to be for that type of deal, like or an entire Fear of God outfit. They're not rocking that out there. Some people are. Don't get me wrong. Some people are rocking the sweatshirts and things like that, but not a full. I have I have the slippers. I've got the shorts. I've got the t-shirt, and I got the hat.
Yeah.
And
Well, you're
what I'm
definitely more stylish, I think, than most people, even in California. So, So I
Uh,
mean, you know what I mean?
somewhat, somewhat. I mean, I do think that how you present yourself through your dress matters,
Yeah.
especially when you're traveling. Because if I'm traveling clean cut, right? Like let's say I don't have a beard, I'm clean cut, and I rock a really nice like polo type shirt, whether it's cashmere, whether it's regular polo, petite, type deal, and some shorts or a pair of slacks with a nice pair of shoes. I am presenting myself as if I have something, right? Like I'm of some sort of stature or status. And I think that that does also go a long way too in how you talk.
Because people are gonna judge you regardless, you know? So you might as well put your best foot forward, look nice, feel good, and all those things.
Yeah. And for me, like I've got the whole travel thing obviously down to a science. There's days where I do want to look good on travel day. And there's most of the time I'm going to be as comfortable as I fucking possibly can. And so I understand why dudes in Hollywood and even women in Hollywood look like bums half the time, or 90% of their wardrobe looks
Yeah.
funny because it's comfortable to them. And again, I think that because they're such on a bigger stage where they're always judged based on their Armani suit or whatever tailor custom thing that they may have on the red carpet, and including athletes too, that it is like whatever you're projecting out or whatever you put out, your first impression is almost everything, especially when you're
Right.
somewhere where nobody's going to see you again.
Yeah, and I mean, being comfortable doesn't mean being a bum. Like,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
in my, in the just the way that I dress, like if I'm comfortable, that doesn't mean I'm gonna be bummy. But a lot of people are out here bumming it, and you're gonna be judged. Like,
All,
bottom line, you're gonna be judged.
all the time. I think at the end of the day, like if
You're
you
not
do
gonna get
have,
respected.
if you are traveling, kudos to you because it is a big deal. Like there's a lot of people who have a phobia of getting on the plane and spending certain times in the air and different things of that nature or boats. Like, see, the one thing I won't do is cruises. I won't do them.
I love cruises.
Thanks.
But the thing a lot of these destination places like Barcelona
Mhm.
is one of the places where people don't want to, or there's a lot of over tourism. They're a huge port for cruising. And me and my mom, we were going to go on an 11-day cruise, and the Barcelona port is one of the ports. And I'm just like, dang, I can't even go there now. Because I don't know if you saw the video, but they're like shooting their tourists with water guns because they don't want you there. And
Mhm.
I'm like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Well,
Like
what a lot of
that's
these,
wrong. I'm
what a lot
sorry.
of it's wrong in a sense because we're a very welcoming country, obviously, with our reform on immigrants and tourism and things like that. A lot of these places rely on their tourism, right? And places like Spain, Madrid, those are all very sexy type style places, right? Like when you think of Paris, you think of Italy, you think of Madrid, you think of Monaco, you think of these types of destinations. One, you have to have the money, right? Like,
Yeah.
and money talks over in those types of places, and you can't go over there just looking like kind of a student, and I always have marveled at kids who, oh, I'm gonna backpack through Europe this year. I'm like,
Oh, I know.
what the fuck does that mean anyway? Like, one, like I don't have any desire to fucking live like a nomad in
And
a new
going from
country.
hostel to hostel.
Yeah, like that doesn't suit my fancy at all, right?
I
Like,
would love
I'm
to.
the kind of person,
But I would love to. I just can't. I'm like, I need
I'm
like
too
four or
detailed
five.
for
I need
that.
4 or 5 stars.
No, I'm too bougie for that type of shit. Like, I couldn't do it. So, like, more power to those, individuals that I've known from high school and college that did those types of things. But for
It's
me,
dope
like,
though. It's dope.
I guess, I mean, to each his own, right?
Right,
And
right, exactly. We're
more
all made
importantly, like
differently.
I'm just happy they're getting a chance to be a little bit more cultured in their senses of what they're doing. Um, one of my admin girls that's in our organization, she just went to South Africa.
Oh, wow.
I kind of gave her some shit. I'm like, why'd you go to Africa? Like, she's very openly about, her political viewpoints and things of that nature. And it's like Africa of all places. Hmm. So what did you see? So I, saw her Sunday and asked poking questions, not teasing, but like just to get a sense of, okay, why the fuck did you choose Africa, let alone South Africa, which is a completely different dialect and a completely different environment than just Africa in its sense. And she was like, it was more beautiful than I thought it would be. It was more beautiful than Costa Rica. And I was like, there's a lot of people that go to Costa Rica. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people that like, I know two people that moved over there and haven't been back since, right? Like, and like that is a place that I would love to go to. And one, because that for me is like a pilgrimage to the motherland, right? Like, but that's because I'm of African American descent, and that's the roots at which my lineage has come from, or just maybe even indigenous, obviously, to here in this land, but that's where we're originated, right? So like being able to go over there, I wouldn't be pretentious when I get there. I would be very kind of had already studied what I needed to study and research, so I know exactly what I want to go and see and do. And then if I so stumble, that's how I am. If I stumble upon something, great. But if it's on my itinerary, it's going to get done. Does that make sense? Like, and I don't map out my itinerary like per the minute, right? Like, this is what I have
I
to do
kind of do.
a day, but I do give a generality of what I would like to accomplish.
Yeah.
Like here
Yeah.
in Georgia, the one thing I wanted to go and see because I haven't seen it is the Martin Luther King Museum, but I also have 18, 16 or 17-year-old players with me, and I don't know how they're going to respond to being at 4 hours of a tour of one of the greatest civil rights leaders ever. I know
Are you
it's
talking
going
about in DC?
to, no, in Atlanta.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
in Atlanta. Yeah,
Okay.
like that's where he did a lot of his ministry. Like he lived in Atlanta. Like Atlanta is very rich and steep in Black cultural histories. Like when I was there, I told you that was where the debate was. We were there during the debate. I couldn't believe it. Shit started at 9 o'clock. I was like, damn, bro, it's 9 o'clock here, and like this shit's not even started yet. Like that's crazy to me. But they do live a different way. It's a slower way. I think that there's different departments that you have to realize. There's nightlife department, there's day life department, there's the food
Hookah.
industry. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that you have to learn and research. And I just think because we have these tools to research what we're doing, you should kind of know how you should be going into that particular country or that particular state or that particular community. And you
Yeah.
shouldn't be acting nut. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm definitely a planner, so I'm looking, and I'm usually a solo traveler. So I'm looking at all of those things, especially being a woman. Like you have to know exactly where you're going, just kind of be aware of what you could face in those type of circumstances. So I think, I don't know. I know tr different travelers, some people like to be free spirit and just wing it and just go. But I think that in this day and age is ignorant in a way because you could find yourself in a lot of trouble.
Well, ignorance is bliss, unfortunately, and you and I both know that. The
Yeah,
more that you see, you would think the more that you see, the more that you would be more of grace and more of understanding of different nuances and different cultures and cultural types of environments. But
yeah,
there's a lot of people that aren't even within themselves culturally diverse enough to handle who they actually are anyway. So I mean,
yeah,
I don't like putting too much on the travel. It's just like if you do like one, enjoy your time because you're spending money for leisure or if it's business and you can have some leisure or downtime. But like for me, I really kind of remember like my first, obviously it's leaving the nest to go to Louisiana, out of high school and different. This is 1999. Cash money's hot, I hadn't seen our people that congregated in so many different avenues that I had seen when I got there. So I wasn't used to that. Like we always grew up having, the BSU, you have your black friends, and you also have other friends in different ethnicities. Like I hung out with a lot of Filipinos in high school. and white boys and white people because of baseball. And so being in that cultural kind of shift where I didn't have that same level of comfortability with another race of people or another actual people that enjoyed what I enjoyed, shared the same commonalities as me, um, made me homesick the first 2, 3 months, and once I got a little comfortable, it got easier. And then when I got to go back, right, back to Alabama for a year, it was, oh shit, like this shit is not for me, right, at the time. But I
Right.
have to do it as a part of my job.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
got to learn different ways to handle yourself when you're gone, you're abroad. Like I give you props because I don't necessarily like traveling solo, but I did it during those early years in my 20s. But I wouldn't do it now in my 40s. Like when we go on trips, it's with the significant other, the family, the kids, or your boys, or a big group like we do. We've done the Tahoe camping type deals and in the house rentals and Palm Springs and things like that. And even when you're there, like in Palm Springs, like I went for my 40th with a group of our friends, and it's like we're looked at differently because there's no other Black people in Palm Springs right now. So a
Yeah.
lot of people's first inclination is, well, what sport do they play? Are they retired in
Are they
athletics?
rappers?
Yeah, or are they rappers? Just different things. Like I don't feel like we carry ourselves like rappers at all.
Yeah.
Like maybe just how we may pull up, but more or less like because Charles and I were athletes. So like we look like athletes. And so when we're on the golf course, people generally come up to us and like, you guys football players? And I'm like, nah, bro, I play baseball. Oh, like that's usually like that kind of thing. And so again, I think it's just being versed in knowing your surroundings, knowing individuals. Like that's my job is to see if somebody's an athlete, right? And I'm more not I shouldn't say the word attracted, but I'm more prone to strike up a conversation with a stranger that I know was probably an athlete because or likes fashion or I can tell likes music in that environment, right? If we're at an athletic event overseas or in another state, I'm gonna be more apt and comfortable talking about that sport or with that type of person. You just gotta I don't know. It's just you got to show a level of humility. Like we're not the shit. Like I'm not the end all in, but that goes down to a character thing, right? So a lot of people have character flaws, and then they show up when they're put on kind of a stage that they don't even realize who's judging them or not. Like, so that's the kind of funny shit that I see with travel. Just be a normal human being is what I'm saying. Is it's just like go there, understand why you're there, enjoy your time there. Just don't be a dick. Like, it's not hard.
Yeah, but that's the whole issue though. Like people are being a dingling. They're not being cool, and people aren't wanting people that aren't of their local community there anymore. So that's just kind of where we're at with society. It's like we're just not being good humans. We're not taking care of the environment, and
All right.
that's one of the things in Genesis. Like I always like to go back to a spiritual place. Um, the
Please do.
the
Please.
Bible is saying that, God gave us the job to take care of the land, you know, and we're not taking care of the land. And that, like in Hawaii, that's one of their situations. People are ruining the land. They're just not respecting it. And, we look at our oceans, we're not taking care of the ocean. Like we're literally watching the whole earth, Mother Earth. Like there's people out here who are passionate, who are trying to uphold the earth, but a lot of people are just traveling and doing whatever they want and disrespecting everything. And that's the problem that we're having. And a lot of people just aren't thinking about their actions, you know?
Money does
So,
that, right? Like, so money is the root cause of a lot of evil, right? And a lot of misconcepted ways of thinking. is what money does provide. Because I've told you this in like one of the first episodes in our shows was, money can create time, space, and leisure, right? And so with time, space, and leisure equals travel, right? So let's just break that down. If I have time, space, and leisure through my accolades on my job or what I'm producing money wise, I think people tend to forget that money doesn't buy you class.
Mm-mm.
Make you have to go back to class, but it's not going to buy you class. Like you yourself have to exude character in class. So if
Right.
you don't have character, class, and those types of things, and an understanding of, where money comes from, how it comes, what your wear is, what your attire may be, whatever it is, like you still got to be a genuine person or a good person in that regard, right? So I think that has a lot to do with it. There's a lot to do with it. And
Yeah, people
a lot of
don't
people
care.
in this world don't give a shit. They don't
Yeah.
care what you or I think. They don't care what even
They
the
think it's somebody else's responsibility, especially if you have money. I mean, there's certain people who have money who do care about others. There, I won't say all rich people are just oblivious to what their actions are doing to our world, but there's a lot of people who don't care. Like even people that are poor don't care. Like there's people who litter and they'll, throw their stuff out the window and say, well, I'm employing somebody else, by throwing my litter out the window, somebody else is going to clean it up. That's their job. So, people just don't care. People don't care. Like whether they're rich or poor, um, it just comes down to the character of a person.
pretty
And like if you're going to all these different places, I mean, people are starting to shoot back now. I mean, literally like in Barcelona, they're going to restaurants and they're taking water guns and shooting people with water guns. Like that would actually like my whole thing is why are you going after the tourists? Like go, you know, contact your local authorities about the
it's the
tourism issue.
easiest thing to do. You got to think when people act irrational, they're not acting rational, right? So they're acting irrational and they're acting based off emotion. So the first thing that they see is they see green, which means you or I, right? If we're traveling, they're going to just see us and not understand our background or our story. We could be visiting family. Yes, we're a tourist, but we could be there for family purposes. We could be there on a business trip. There's a
Yeah.
lot of different nuances that go. Each individual person that gets that passport stamped or that ticket punched, there's exactly those types of factors that have to be listed out and adhered to. And a lot of people don't adhere to any of that. So you got to remember there's lawless people in the world everywhere.
Yeah,
That,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, like we have to. Everybody's gonna have to be prepared. Like when you're going to other places, like people are fighting back. Like people are tired of being, their government not taking care of them anymore. People are taking matters into their own hands, and these protesters, they didn't know, like you said, they don't know what those people are there for. But you shot me with water gun. Like I would be very upset. I would be highly upset. So there's going to be a lot of fighting. There's going to be a lot of turmoil and like just tumultuous times like in these different places
well,
because
it's all in all due fairness, a lot of it has been put on us as just American citizens that go and travel to other countries because of what our country consistently is doing. So
yeah.
like
But
for
it's also the British. Like that's it's all these a lot of these colonial like countries. Like I guess in Barcelona, there was a lot of people because I wanted to know what type of people travel there, and it was a lot of British people, other, European countries. It wasn't just America. Like, yes, people don't like Americans. We've always had the stereotype that we're stupid Americans, dumb Americans, arrogant Americans. You know what I mean? Like that's just a given. And even that, like even just like that also kind of made me not want to travel so much anymore is after
well,
like
like that's where as your friend, I would err on the side of telling you, like, just be very mindful of being alone. Like, and to each his own, right? Like, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you as a friend to be very careful. Um,
yeah. Or even just the whole like real quick, the whole Brittany Griner thing. Like that
mhm,
was a political move. So it's
mhm,
like people seeing like speaking on what you're saying about Americans, like Americans, when we go to these other countries now, they already assume that we have more money than them.
they're calm.
So yeah, we're gonna be targeted. And that's exactly what happened to Brittany Griner in Russia. So she was a pawn to get somebody else.
One of the
She's
things
taken hostage.
One of the things my dad taught me when I was 14, I went to Osaka and Tokyo, Japan for baseball,
Oh wow.
right? 2 weeks at an academy, 1 week in Osaka, 1 week in Tokyo. And that by far is, other than Hawaii, was the best trip I'd ever been on. Like, and I say that because just the culture was very nurturing, very giving, very like, hi, how are you doing? What can we do to make you feel comfortable in our home? Like, and so those are the type of places I want to travel to, is where when I touch down, it's like home, or they're going to treat me like I'm at their home and their home is inviting. Like, I don't have any inkling to travel to places where I've got to be on the lookout for something, or I do have to worry about this, that, or the other.
Mm.
And dangers can happen anywhere. I could step outside right now and somebody could want to stick me up or whatever. And that's just what it is.
Yeah.
But like, my choice is to live in a more affluent neighborhood, right? Like, we have all these choices that you got to remember a lot of people don't have. A lot of people are living in poverty and living, day to day to figure out what's going to happen. So how does it make you feel, somebody that comes over from any other country and then they just have, but you are struggling? So it's a natural human tendency to have that type of envious, jealous type demeanor or type
But
attitude.
they're protesting even more so because with all this tourism, it's making the cost of living go up. And they're not able to buy homes. Like there was something, it was a stat like 68% rent went up 68%, and buying a home went up like 38% in 10 years in Barcelona. So, so it's like, and even in Hawaii, like all these places that have too many people coming and, having short-term rentals and Airbnbs, and because investors are buying these homes and renting them out, so it's like
Yeah,
it's raising the rent. So people are really fighting back. Like it's not just that they're poor, it's like they're really causing the cost of living to go up. Like even look at California. Look at Sacramento. Look at
it's the
Sacramento.
gentrification that we've experienced for the last, I would say, 15 plus years out here, right?
Yeah.
Since we got the approval for the arena, right? Like, things have drastically gone up over.
Dude, gas is more here than in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Like in South San Francisco, like there's certain gas stations. I'm just like, how
Gas
is
was
that even
305.
possible?
Gas was 305 in Macon, Georgia.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
5.
Yeah, like that's
I
great. But
can't get that unless I have 75 cents on my Safeway shit. You know what I mean? So it is. I think a lot of people are hurting. A lot of
yeah,
people are hurting. And when people are hurting, hurt people. So
yeah.
however they can lash out or unleash their hurt onto you, that's what's happening. Again, it's more for me, and my vantage point is just be careful, be mindful where you're going, be mindful of what you're choosing to go and actually do. Like, I don't have money like that to just go to Dubai, right? Is it a place I would love to go? Yeah, but I also know that my income, in order to enjoy Dubai and all of its splendor, needs to be raised up. So I'm not that dude. So for me, I don't have an inkling to go. It looks nice, but like, I don't have an inkling to go because I just don't have that output or outsourcing of my monies that I'm earning. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to go out there and fake the funk or something. But
We're
that's
all
what
oil owners out there.
but,
They're-
but that's why I choose certain places to go and travel to. Hawaii is very affordable for me because I know how to live in the community. I know how to live in the mom and pop restaurant, the Costco's, the stores. I know these things now over the years that I've been traveling there, and I'm comfortable there.
Yeah.
And I also get paradise.
Yeah.
Again, it's just what people are wanting out of their travels. Um, Like I always tell my son, like if you want to go somewhere, make sure you've planned for it. Make sure you've planned for the rainy day there too, because you're gonna so at some point you're not going to have every day be mapped out the way you thought it was going to be. And what I mean by rainy day is lost wallet, lost income, in monies, whatever it may be. You have to have a reserve of something, a reserve. Like everybody always teases me all the time. So I pack a shit ton of underwear when I travel. Even if I'm gone for 3 days, I'm bringing 2 weeks worth.
Yeah.
And it's because I just never know. I don't know why. Couldn't tell you. It's just something that's ingrained in me. Socks, underwear, and making sure all of my toiletries are never missed. Like I could literally have the same outfit and go to the laundromat if I had to, but as long as I had clean drawers or a new set of drawers daily, and then my toiletry stuff, then I'm okay. So like as you get older, you start to realize what is good for you and what not necessarily is good for you. So if you're younger and listening to this or watching it, um, be spontaneous, I would say, and live a little bit more carefree, but just be mindful of your spontaneity, your carefreeness isn't someone else's responsibility to endure.
Yeah.
So just be mindful of where you're at.
And a good thing is I'm finding is, support the local community. Don't necessarily support the corporate companies that are
And
out
that's what
there.
I said. Like, so when I go to Hawaii, I
The
don't
mom
go
and pops, yeah.
I go to mom and pop shops. And I guess that's a good segue into if you're doing that, like I think your experience is going to be better. At least for mine it is. They're nicer, they're kinder. I'm giving them business.
Yeah, because that's the thing. They're working to that people still want tourism because a lot of these countries, this is how they make their money. Like it's a good portion of their economy. But there's ways that you could go about doing, I guess, responsible tourism. And
Mhm.
that's supporting local, that's having respect, that's not acting like an idiot and doing whatever you want to do. Just relax and learn and listen. Like that's also a reoccurring thing that we have is you just got to pay attention and listen and just respect. Just have respect. Respect goes a long ways. Like
Mhm.
I almost think respect is greater than love. I think I'd rather have somebody respect me than to
Well, I
love.
think that's the next topic we should discuss because like I've sent you a few of those, those forums of those younger, like, they're probably like 25 to 28, maybe 30. The tall, skinny black dude with the girls, and then the other guys, and they're always kind of going back and forth in these type TED Talk kind of environments, with a crowd, and they're asking them questions, and they're always giving this kind of deemed worthy meme, a minute 30 reel of real, right? And that's these people's real. I think at the end of the day, like I can only share with you what I've experienced.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to ever tell you to not experience what you want to experience. Like you got to go and experience that.
Yeah, and no, that's so true too. Like, I think energy also introduces you to other people as well. So, like, a lot of people don't look at how their demeanor is and their energy. So, like, somebody might have a terrible time in Japan, but maybe your energy was off. Maybe you were tripping or whatever. Like, people could read that stuff. There's certain people that are sensitive to those things.
I have a really good quip for some people that are, going to watch this, and it's I wish they had had 2 or 3 more seasons of it. It's Kenya Bears is black as AF, right? And so the last 2 episodes, for him, cinematography wise, it was like an ode to the things that he grew up with. So like what we grew up with was Brady Bunch and Family Ties and Family Matters and Full House and these types of sitcoms that were reality based, Cosby Show, things like that. But all of those things always had at the end of a season, they all went on vacation. I'm speaking in family terms because I've like the whole marriage and the kids and got to get everybody together to go travel. That shit's the fucking worst. So when I'm watching this during COVID, like the last 2 episodes of that season 1, that they went to Bali,
Mhm.
right? Um, And that shit was fucking hilarious because like the opening scene of the first episode was like the daughter was explaining that they had figured out where they were going to go,
Uh-huh.
right? And then it clipped into like World War II old videos because that's what sometimes vacations end up being. Is like I've seen it, I've lived it. Like I've lived the fighting vacation, like with your spouse or your significant other, or the kids, or your parents, or whoever you're traveling with. I've watched those travel excursions go to shit just because of the group that you're with or the people you've chosen to travel with
Like
have gone.
that's something I want to talk about one day too, or friend trips, because woo, friend family trips. I'm like, a lot of people after 3 days, and we always say this, me and my mom, like after 3 days, things start changing and all the good feelings wear off
It's because a
and
lot
people
of
get
us
real.
are not equipped to live and cohabitate with each other in that kind of space. Like our space is, let's say it's just you and I. We actually talk daily, not necessarily face to face, but we talk through text or through meme or through giving information to each other to, study certain things and have an opinion on things. But it could be different if we spent 4 days cohabitating with one another, you know,
Yeah.
or just having to see each other directly 4 days. There's going to be things that will annoy me of you and vice versa. And I think that's the level that I'm talking about of grace, humility, understanding, patience, respect. And what I do want to double back on is the respect thing over love is very true. I still believe in love being the end all end to a lot of things. But if you don't respect that person, how do you even say you love them? Because like I don't love people I don't respect.
Right,
So
right,
like I believe the two words or the two meanings of those things do go hand in hand, right? And so if you don't show a level of respect when you're in somebody's, hometown or in their backyard, and
right.
that's what you have with even these rappers in the hip hop industry is there's dudes that they'll tell you, when you go to LA, you got to check in. There's somebody you have to check in with because dudes are going to be on your helmet. Somebody might try to sneak this or sneak attack or do something crazy, especially if you're of high price, right? And so sometimes there's a level of humility that you have to show through your celebrity. And a lot of people struggle with that because they feel like their bank account supersedes character. And that's not ever the case.
Nah.
So that's where you see a lot of problems abroad,
Yeah.
right? Like, was that movie with Claire Danes and they were in Indonesia? And
I don't know. I'm terrible. I don't know many
it's
movies.
an old ass movie. It's good though, right? And this is when she was popping, right? Late 90s. I'll have to figure it out and I'll look it up later. But the two girls go over to Indonesia and then they get popped for having opioids in their luggage.
Mm.
But because they went on a date with some dude that was local and he planted that shit on them. And so they got put away, and it's not theirs. And, like in that movie, like the first thing out of her mouth was, I'm an American. I didn't do that. I didn't, but she's yelling, I'm an American. I'm an American. Like that fucking matters. And so, like, I hear that a lot, or I see that a lot. Like, just because we're from America doesn't mean that it gives us a fucking free pass to do whatever we want in somebody's backyard,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah. But we've been programmed that way. But
fuck yeah.
I have a lot of people who travel or know a lot of people that travel internationally. And they're telling me that other places are pretty awesome. I mean, America is great, but they're not every place that people have told us that are third world countries, they're not that terrible. They're like industrialized in some sense, and they're beautiful and
They're
like,
third world because of what their initial economic empower is onto the actual world, right? Like if they're not an economical powerhouse, it doesn't mean that it's not good to live at, it's not good to visit, it's not good to be a part of, or even go and uproot yourself and move there. It's not, I
yeah,
think
like
that's the stereotypical thing that everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people take.
Because we were programmed, well, at least I was programmed with seeing all those little commercials about, feed me, send me food, and all the kids with like big bellies and
Yo, you
flies
doing
on
it at
them.
the same time, girl. The UNICEF and
Yeah,
the
those, you know what I mean?
other shit. Yeah, for sure. But
Like we thought that's how Africa was. Like, why would I want to go to Africa? But then I see my friend out in Ghana like every year in December having a ball. I'm like, wow, this is great.
you got to remember, you were conditioned that way to not explore the world. You got
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like they've told us like America is the best place in the world. And I mean, it's good. We do have a lot of liberties and
to
freedoms
keep
that
the
other
labor
places can't
force up.
do.
Come on, there's a bigger picture and a bigger point to that. It's how you keep the labor force. It's why they don't want abortion. It's why they're trying to make us procreate without having contraceptives and different things of that nature, because it continues the workforce, right? And it continues to grow economically, and the growth economically uh, outweighs you or I, right? Like your and I's lives do not matter now that we're in our 40s. We've already been set, we've already been programmed, we've already been done with. Now it's we got to go get these little guys, we got to go get the women, we got to go get the younger boys, we've got to desensitize them from certain things and make them more intuitive about what we want them to be intuitive on. It's
Yeah.
I find a lot of my kids don't know and understand. They struggle with spelling and proper sentence structure and grammar,
Mhm.
right? Because they
Technology. Yeah.
don't fucking write.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say too. Social media now, though, kind of, if you're diligent and you go out and look for what else is out in the world, then social media does make the globe seem much smaller and you could see what's actually happening. So that is a good thing of social media, I would say, with this generation versus our generation. Like, you
But
can
we have to
search.
go out and experience the shit. So like I will take my generation over any generation any day of the week because we had to experience that shit. But you had to live it. Like if you didn't go there, like there's nothing you can really say because you hadn't been there. It's like your partner that would say, "Hey, I went and saw Boys in the Hood," and the only fucking thing that they would tell you is off the fucking trailer. It's like you didn't see the movie, bro. Like that kind of thing. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of fallacy still, even on social media about a lot of these places too. So you just got to be mindful of what you want to do. And again, it's a preference thing. It's a to each his own thing. Like for me, I want sand, water, and fucking relaxation. I want golf. I want those types of things. I don't want to travel when it's cold. Like I very rarely go to Tahoe during the snow months. Like I'll just stay in Sac. I'm good. I don't feel like driving in the snow. I don't feel like dealing with snow days. I don't feel like dealing with 80 and 50 traffic. Like, so I'm good. Right.
Right. But
And
I will have to shout out, and I don't really like cold destinations either, but there's a blackout weekend in Tahoe during the winter and it's hella fun. It's like 4 days of nonstop partying with all Black folks. Like it's my friend throws that party and it's a good
we'll
time.
go this year. Well, let's
I
do this.
know, for real. Like I'm trying to tell you.
We'll do an on location show,
Yeah.
I don't mind those types of things. Like the biggest thing for me is it classy, right? Like it has to be I can't
It's
do
business professionals.
yeah, so
Like
I can't
it's
do
nice.
I can't do the movie, the Fat Beach movie kind of deals anymore. I can't like, I just
Yeah,
can't.
no.
I have little time to deal with the stupidity of others, right? And so, like I said, it's just a matter of of what you value, right? Like
Right.
I value my time, so like I want to do things that I like to do on my time. So if I'm traveling, I really, really want to know.
I want to know if there's a spa and I can get a massage and it's nice and they're gonna like make it special for me. But there's like just certain things that I just won't do anymore because I've matured past a lot of types of parties, let's say that. Or gatherings, social gatherings. So for sure. But real quick, I wanted to say about the respect and love thing. Like I'm all with you. I feel like love does trump everything, but since we're in a time where there's so much lack of love, I feel like you should at least just respect me. Like that's all I want, because I don't know, like people aren't loving. And that's the other thing God really just told us all to do. Like that covers a multitude of sins is to love yourself as you love your neighbor, you know, and or love your neighbor as you love yourself. Sorry, I said that
It's
backwards.
hard in a very egocentric society nowadays that's based on the individual.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I'm gonna be in Hawaii. I'm gonna go to Barcelona. I'm gonna turn up. I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna throw my litter and I'm gonna just run amok and go crazy and run without my shirt on. And and it's just that's not respectable, people. That's why they're shooting us with water guns. That's and who knows what it could have been a real gun for all I care at this point. Like people are really out here fighting back. And you have to really take a look at how you're acting in other places because nobody is being tolerant of anything. There, that grace, that mercy, that forgiveness, it's not really out here like that,
So,
you know? So we just got to think about what we're doing. That's all.
okay. Well, I love it. And I want you to know one thing though, when you travel again. Next time you travel, let's just get the group. All right.
Oh, group travel? It depends who all going to be there.
I don't know. I'll let you pick. I'll let you have first and second draft picks.
Oh my Lord. Yeah, I know. So a lot of people don't like the whole solo travel thing.
I
And I
just worry
still
about
prefer. I
I
prefer
know
the
I know
group.
how you are because I know you. So I don't like as your friend, I don't worry about you. I worry about your safety, but I don't worry about is she gonna have a good time. I think
Yeah,
memory so I like making memories with others. So me being
no,
someone else or a group of people, it's fun.
yeah, no, I agree, and I think we should do a whole show on that because I do like group trips, and but I do like solo trips. And you have to remember, I lived in LA for 7 years and I went everywhere in LA by myself and like was shooting videos and doing all kinds of stuff and just going to different neighborhoods that and I never had any problems ever. Like that really just it really showed me like my who I am as a person and how I can move in this world and I'll be all right. Like, but I do hear what you're saying. You know, we are in a different times and it does hold me back a little bit now to where I don't like to go out by myself so much. Um, but I don't know. I'm okay.
No, I'm gonna change all that. That's my mission now. You guys here first. Stacey gonna get out of her comfort zone. I got you though. All right.
All right. Well, till next time, everyone, thank you for listening and thank you again for your conversation, Alec.
Oh, well, I appreciate yours. So
Talk to you later.